Everybody else blends in. Why blend in? Hell, look at me. And it's called Getting to the Point. It's time for everybody to get loud. The show is just ahead.
Welcome to Malcolm Out Loud TV. This is Shannon Rose filling in for Malcolm Out Loud. Today's guest is Bob Ross, who has been a movie critic with the Tampa Tribune and has worked in the media for over 20 years. As more and more movies hit the silver screen, we've seen lots of remakes of older movies with a new feel and twist. Is Hollywood running out of ideas, though, or are they using past successes as a security blanket in the tough economic times? And Bob, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Shannon.
Appreciate it. It's kind of a role reversal because last time we did something, you were interviewing me, so this is kind of cool.
This is a little more civilized.
Yeah, exactly. Last time I think we were talking about Ratatouille. We saw what happened with that. I actually like that movie.
Everyone likes it, but those movies do better on video.
Like Up, you know, that movie came out. I thought it was I like those cartoon movies that have a little mature feeling to it also that adults can like too.
Yeah, the jokes are clean, but they go over the kids' heads. That's what I like.
So, how did you get started? Let's start at the beginning as a movie critic.
Well, one slight correction. I wrote my first review for a newspaper in 1973. So I have 30 years experience as a print journalist, 10 at the St. Pete Times and 22 at the Tampa Tribune. And I started as a part-time thing going to rock concerts and writing reviews for the paper and then doing my regular job during the day. And that got me a job as a reporter in Bradenton. And I learned the basics covering school boards, county commissions, and feature stories. And then I became a critic.
The coolest thing about I myself, I'm a critic too, and I do stuff Hollywood news, and it's going to the movie screenings. But I tell you, you guys are serious though. You don't want to interrupt you in the movie theater.
Well, the nice thing about the screenings is there's a monitor there.
Yeah.
So you got no cell phones, no talking. No,
but still, you have those people, though, that are just annoying. You know, they bring their cell phone, start texting even though they're told not to. Because a lot of people don't know out there is that when you go to screenings, they actually have these security guards.
Yeah.
First of all, they'll wand you, and then they'll have these little, gun things that look and see if your cell phone's on. And if it's on, let me tell you, and I knew somebody that had their cell phone on, you're out.
They took them out. Well, they warned them before the movie, turn the phone off. And I don't know if you've seen this famous PSA that went viral on the video. There's a theater in Austin, Texas called the Alamo. And they threw a young lady out for texting during the movie. And so she called them and left a voicemail, very nasty. And so they put it up on their screen with commentary. And the whole country, all the movie fans in the country were applauding this. Well,
I seen them break out in a fight one time right there at the movie. You missed it one time. It was like a fight because they escorted them out. Yeah. So people get pretty whacked out on this stuff. Let's talk about some of the movies. Now, you date back to the 70s and starting as a movie critic and going and writing on about it. I mean, there was some of the best movies were back then compared to now where they could try to remake those movies.
Yeah.
What are some of your most favorite movies, I should say?
Well, I always loved The Godfather, probably because of the time it came out and because it's something you can watch over and over again, the first two. And they're always my all-time favorites. I like old movies that I can see over and over. It drives my wife crazy.
I can't do that, though. I can't really watch. I'm sorry, the only one I saw, I have to admit, three movies. I'm going to admit this. I like Annie. I like Mannequin. I cried in Annie. And I do like Shrek.
Yeah.
Like the Shrek, yeah.
Well, when I say watch him over and over, I mean like every 5 or 10 years. But, for me, I mean like Casablanca, Citizen Kane, Singing in the Rain, the perfect all-time musical comedy.
It's like events. You know where you were at the time it came out.
Well, and it makes you feel better to watch it, And so I have a collection, and I'm sure you do too. But the new movies are not given the chance to develop that kind of audience. Back in the 70s, a movie would enter the theater and play for 3-4 weeks, maybe a couple of months. Nowadays, if it doesn't have a big opening weekend...
It goes right to DVD, right? Yeah.
30 days, it's on video. And it's not fair to the filmmakers. It turns them into hacks who have to put out a sequel or a remake or a TV name. It's a brand name they're selling. And so the quality is not as good in terms of story and originality.
I've even seen some of the cable companies now are trying to compete with Redbox and also DVDs because they want to be able to put the film out literally weeks after it already is in the movie theaters.
Some of them want to do it day and date. They want to do it immediately, and the studios are fighting that.
And I'm saying like the on-demand type service.
The on-demand service, because they as many platforms as they can develop. You know, there used to be just one platform, the movie theater. Then came television, and they would sell the movie to television. Then you got video, and each time a new platform develops, the old platform complains about, oh, this is going to put us out of business, and it never has. So now you have your video on demand, then you have your cable video, in between you have your DVD or your Blu-ray release, and so there's this endless recycling of the same material.
Well, we speak of the economy in this sense. Do you think all these things are hurting the movie industry? I mean, you mentioned a little bit of it, but do you think it's taking money away by being able to, go on your cable box, being able to access it off your phone? Just like the internet possibly could be affecting journalism, are these things affecting movies?
Not in the same way, because the film market, for one thing, is a major export. Entertainment is one of the few things that the United States makes a profit on compared to the rest of the world. In other words, we buy a lot of stuff from other countries, but they buy our movies. And so that's why when one of these big giant action movies comes out that's just terrible, just all noise and special effects.
Hopefully it's not Transformers.
It's got to be better than the last one.
I hate the AD, and I call this an ADD moment because I was just thinking of something. Do you ever notice in Transformers that you have a headache when you leave there? It's so much noise, and I love Transformers. I'm a geek at heart. But when I'm in there, I feel like it's nonstop noise.
The second one was particularly awful. The first one I enjoyed, I guess, because it was new. But the second one, I got to agree with you. The third one, I'm going to see it, next week sometime.
Yeah, we're going to go see it.
And, because of the 3D and things like that, it is a theatrical experience. You don't really want to watch Transformers on your iPad.
Another thing is 3D. That's the new. All the movies are going to be like that. And don't try to go in a movie without 3D glasses. One time I went into a screening and they forgot to give me the glasses, and I watched it without glasses, and I had a headache afterwards. Besides the noise, but you have to think of this way. Why is it they're all going that way? I saw Green Lantern. Now it wasn't a good movie, but what it set itself apart from the other movies is the fact that it felt 3D-ish. I felt things coming at me. Most of these movies are set in 3D, but you can't tell they're 3D movies.
Well, there's two ways to make 3D. One is originally as you film it. The other one is to shoot it in 2D and then process it afterward. And most audiences now can tell the difference. And a lot of the 3D releases have been disappointing to the studios, money-wise. And so they're going to back off a little bit on that. But
just like Blu-ray, when they went that way and they backed off now, they were originally going to 3D and now they're backing off of that. Let's talk remakes. Everybody wants to do a remake, whether it be He-Man, Voltron. Again, I'm talking geek movies here, but we're talking other movies too. Superman. They're trying to. Well, they're relaunching it if it doesn't work. Yeah. But there's other movies though that are just. I even heard a second to Wizard of Oz. There was talk of a Wizard of Oz 2. What are they doing? Why is it they're trying to? Why is it Ghostbusters? What, Ghostbusters 3 or 4 is coming out?
No, it's because number one. They need the brand name. They need the name recognition. That's what they're selling. People are going to go see it because of the brand. And most of us know in advance it's not going to be any good. But the movie-going audience often is just out for a date. They just want to get out of the house. They want to take the kids to something. So they're looking for anything that's rated PG. And the quality is no longer an issue.
I mean, look at the disasters they could have done great with. Land of the Lost. I mean,
it ruined it.
There's some other ones I can't think of at this point, but there's a lot of them out there that, they try so hard. I mean, you think of what disasters could come out of what they're trying to do.
Well, the Blues Brothers 2000 was one of the worst films of the decade.
And Bob, I want to wrap it up with this. The film industry in Florida. I heard that now they're not doing so many productions because of some loophole or something happened. They weren't getting the tax break. Why is it? What's going on? What's the future for movie productions in Florida?
Well, it's not looking really good, Shannon, because, number one, although the legislature passed a law authorizing the rebates, they didn't put the funding in the budget So a lot of the filmmakers couldn't get the money they were entitled to. The other thing is, all the other states have figured this out. So now you got Georgia, North Carolina,
New Orleans.
Louisiana is huge now, Texas. They're all offering the same tax incentives.
I mean, I know this Louisiana is doing back-to-back movies. It's so profitable.
It's huge. I was in New Orleans a few weeks ago, and there was a whole street blocked off for a film crew. And people like filming there. It's not that people don't like filming in Florida, but we don't have the incentives for one thing, and the climate isn't as varied as you'll find in some other areas.
Well, Bob, thank you so much for being on right here on Malcolm Out Loud. I'm Shannon Rose filling in for Malcolm Out Loud. Remember, get involved, get loud, think on the brink.